In 2015, I went to a meeting of the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners in New York City. It is a meeting of the people who create policies surrounding water, gas, electricity, and communication services in each state. Sounds really exciting, right? Catching up on your C-SPAN viewing looks a lot more interesting to you already. I know you may not believe me, but what we talked about there is going to affect each and every one of you. What we talked about there is going to matter to you because I'm guessing you had breakfast this morning or maybe plan on eating something later today. More importantly, if you plan on living for another 35 years, then what we talked about there is really going to be interesting to you. You see, there's a big challenge coming up. In 35 years, there's going to be another 2 billion people on the planet. Yep, our population is going to expand from 7.2 billion to 9.6 billion by the year 2050. The challenge is, what are all these people going to eat when farmland across America is decreasing? What are we all going to eat when, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, global food production will need to double by the year 2050? When America has lost 8 million acres of farmland between 2007 and 2012, how will we produce twice as much with less? I don't know about you, but I really enjoy eating, and I know it's a huge problem when production can't keep pace with population. However, as huge as this problem is, we think we have some good ideas on how we can help feed the world. At this meeting, there was a panel on how broadband technology can support farming. On this panel, there were speakers from universities across the United States, a South Dakota Utilities Commissioner, and a CEO from a rural telecommunications company. I was there on the panel because I've been in the telecommunications field for 35 years, and now with Blue Valley Telecommunications, I help to provide high-speed broadband to rural portions of Kansas. While all the experts sitting on this panel had the technical know-how about agriculture and about technology in general, I knew that really talking about this problem meant that someone was missing from the discussion. Where were the farmers? Just who are these people who will be responsible for doubling their harvest in the next 35 years? Where was their invitation to the conference? Frankly, before I even went to New York, I knew that I didn't know everything that I needed to know to talk on a panel about how broadband technology can support farming. Here I was trying to provide a service to rural communities, but what did I know about their challenges? What did I know about farming and about the families who had committed to producing the food America and the world eats? So to find out, I went on a tour of 4 family farms across the state of Kansas. In talking with the Pringle, Splitter, Bronco, and Dressman families, I came away with a different perspective on the problem that we face. I learned that if we're really going to be successful, it's going to take more than just technology. I arrived at the Pringle farm around 8 a.m. after a 3-hour drive. Megan Pringle met me outside of her home and said that she had breakfast ready for me. I could smell this wonderful egg casserole as I walked into their kitchen. Craig Pringle was sitting there with one of their best friends who was also in the agricultural business. As we ate, they shared with me the history of their family farm, including how their family had been farming for generations. We talked for hours about precision farming and how the lack of broadband was impacting their ability to fully utilize technology. The visit to the Splitter farm came literally hours before the start of wheat harvest. Matt Splitter did not have time for me that afternoon. However, he made time. We met in the cab of his John Deere tractor as he shared with me how he had come back to work his family farm after his father had died. With a lot of hard work, he had turned their operation from a few hundred acres into a few thousand. However, Matt had specific expectations on how broadband was going to help his farm be even more productive. I'd met Glenn Bronco many times before arriving at his farm for a tour. The night before my visit, Kansas had one of our unexpected heavy rains, and there was water everywhere. We first walked out through a very muddy barnyard to bottle feed a couple young calves, and after those chores were completed, Glenn and I rode in his pickup truck to another portion of their family farm that had been in the Bronco family for many years. The final stop on the tour was to the Dressman farm. We met first in their family home where a young Adam Dressman shared with me how he'd begun to use a drone to help his family farm be more productive. Our company's video producer was with me that day, and Adam gave her the opportunity to fly the drone before we left. I won't lie to you all, that was a really scary thing for me to watch her do. These farms that I visited across Kansas last summer were all different. However, they had some things in common as well. First, they have a commitment to farming. It's a mission for them to grow crops and to make their harvest better every year. However, they only have a limited time to do that. Howard Buffett, Warren Buffett's son, once said, "Each of us has about 40 chances in life to accomplish our goals." I learned this first through agriculture, as every farmer can expect to have about 40 growing seasons, giving them 40 chances to improve on every harvest. However, the family farms that I visited, along with about 2 million other operations across the United States, only have 35 years to double the harvest that they currently produce, not 40. The second thing that the family farms all had in common was they expressed no real desire to do anything other than to make their multi-generational farms successful. So that brings us back to our panel in New York. What can we do to help farmers be more successful and address the very real problem of feeding billions of more people in just a few decades? What can the broadband industry do to help, including small rural communications companies like the one that I work for? The answer is that we have to provide fiber optic cable technology not just to the cities, but to these farms too. Not because companies will make a lot of money providing them with this technology, but because our ability to eat in the future depends upon them having it. I know you may be thinking that farmers will need some wonder technology that hasn't been invented yet, but that's just not true at all. There's already been a lot of exciting new developments, and every farmer that I spoke to was very open to using precision farming techniques. They have the tools right now to make sure that we have food on each and every one of our plates for decades to come. However, there's often one very important element missing, and that's access to high-speed internet. If farmers had access to broadband and fiber technology, there are 5 major ways that they could be better farmers right now. First of all, they can make better use of soil mapping. Soil mapping allows farmers to visually lay out their acreage based upon where the most fertile soil is. You see, dirt differs depending upon mineral content, moisture content, runoff, and a lot of other factors that can impact yields. But with soil mapping, this gives them the ability to plant seed and apply fertilizer based upon the variations of the land within a given field. This is an amazing tool. However, the data files used to transmit soil mapping information are huge and therefore take up a tremendous amount of broadband. The Dressman family currently uses wireless technology for their broadband, but it's just simply not good enough. Most of the time, they'll have to go to their nearest local library to get the quality of internet that they need. The second tool they use is GPS. You and I may use GPS for travel, but farmers use GPS for precision farming. One farmer shared with me sensor planters that give them the ability to plant just the right amount of seed and avoid overplanting. This resulted in an 8% reduction in seed costs and less soil compaction. Farmers will often send precision farming data information to different vendors and organizations to make sure that their farm is being as productive as it possibly can be. However, again, these data files are very large and can only best be transported through the use of fiber optic technology. The third way that fiber optic technology can help is through the monitoring of irrigation and feeding systems. The Splitter farm has 20 irrigation wells. If Matt Splitter had access to fiber technology, he'd be better able to monitor these wells and make better use of our precious water supply. In fact, since last summer, Matt has shared with me that he has placed fiber optic cable himself from his farm a significant distance away to the nearest local rural communications company because having that technology was that important to him. It's also important for all of us to remember that farms are businesses too, and so keeping them viable means that they need to watch the markets. In 2012, 75% of all farming operations across the United States had sales of less than $50,000. Margins are tight, and having real-time access to market data through the use of fiber optic technology will be absolutely critical to ensuring a farmer's success. They have the tools right now to make them better farmers and to ensure that there's food on each and every one of our plates for decades to come. The final tool that farmers use is to use fiber optic technology to help them with operational finances. Of course, there's software available right now, but if a hard drive crashes, then all that financial information would be lost. Farmers that I spoke with would like to use the software on the cloud. However, they need the technology that fiber optic cable provides in order to use the service in the first place. These technologies are all an important part for farmers to be able to improve their harvest over the next 35 years. They have the tools, again, to help make sure that they're better farmers. However, they need our help. 3 of the 4 family farms that I visited currently use wireless technology for their broadband, but had to limit the use of this technology because of cost. And again, if they had access to broadband at all, it may have been only through their local library. If we want to make sure that there's food on each and every one of our plates for decades to come, it's absolutely essential that we give farmers the support that they need now. It's also important for all of us to remember what farmers need to get the job done. It's not just about tractors, seeds, and soil. They need ways to track production. They need ways to stay connected to the resources they need, and yes, they may even need things that haven't been created yet. But with your help, and with the help of others, these are things that can get done. I guess if I could tell you one thing, it would be this. Be interested in farming. Listen to their problems and work with them to create solutions. Your lunch depends upon it. Your family's dinner depends upon it. The whole world depends upon it. When I left the conference last summer, I came away with a greater appreciation for the role that rural communications companies play in helping to feed the world. The event may have been in Times Square, but my heart and mind were in Kansas, and really across all of rural America. So let me ask you, what's for breakfast tomorrow? And more importantly, what's for breakfast in the next 35 years? That's entirely up to you and me and what we decide to do today about supporting our farmers. Thank you.